Welcome to Tap In with Lissy Lou, the podcast where we explore the transformative power of personal development. I'm your host, Lissy Lou, and each week we'll tap into meaningful conversations, inspiring stories, and practical tools to help you unlock your fullest potential. Whether you're on a journey of self-discovery, growth, or healing, this podcast is here to support and guide you. Together, we'll dive into topics that challenge your mindset, elevate your well-being, and empower you to live a more authentic and fulfilling life. So get comfortable, tap in, and let's begin this incredible journey of growth together. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us at Tapped In with Lissy Lou. Here joining me, Lisa Darveniza, and I would like to give an introduction. So she's a seasoned counselor, psychotherapist, and growth work teacher with 25 years of global experience in personal development. She has a strong foundation in Eastern philosophy and holds a master's degree in counseling and applied psychotherapy. Lisa combines her extensive training and empathetic abilities to help her clients overcome personal challenges and unlock their potential. With specialized expertise in trauma-informed psychotherapy, she applies a holistic, growth-oriented approach to therapy, which she calls awareness work. Lisa is currently focused on facilitating groups, working with individuals, writing, training other therapists in awareness work. I have had the pleasure to work with Lisa. I've completed her 6 month and her 4 month course, and I've invited her here today to have a chat about it. So thank you, Lisa, for joining us.
Thank you, Alyssa. I'm very excited to be here with you. Looking forward to the chat.
Excellent. Yeah. So I would love to talk about your course because it has changed my life in so many ways than one.
Mm.
I would say the biggest one would probably be bringing the love back in my marriage. Um,
Oh,
I've been with my husband for since 2000, so that's
hmm.
going on 25 years now,
Yeah. Hmm.
and married since 2007. And with
Hmm.
any marriage, you have ups and downs, and
Absolutely.
right. And we
Yeah.
have a 13-year-old son, and
Hmm.
I'll never forget when my sister told me when my son was born, she's like, "Congratulations, you have now entered your hardest chapter of your marriage."
Right.
And she wasn't
Ouch.
wrong. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, it was really tough there for a few years.
Hmm.
And we even talked about the big D a little bit. I
Yeah.
would never say
Yeah.
that word. Um,
Yes.
and I'm very thankful that I found Chrissy Charlie from the Man Movement who recommended
Yeah.
me to do your course. And
Yeah.
I'm
Thanks, Chrissy.
forever thankful. So thank
Yeah.
you, thank you.
Yeah.
I
That's
feel like a
great. That's
changed person.
wow. That's a huge thing to claim, isn't it? That the love is back in your marriage, in your long-term marriage. That's amazing. Well done. And although, yes, that's what we do at Awareness Work, and been doing that for a long time and really refining how to help people break through into the transformation they want. Still, it takes your commitment to that process and to facing each point along that process for 6 months, then 4 months at weekly intervals to do that. So well done, you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't an easy decision, I must
Right.
admit.
Mm.
I even though your course offered to have either daytime sessions or evening sessions,
Mm.
I almost did the evening, but I knew I was going to be squeezing it in, especially with my son's sport commitments, and the recommendation was don't do that
Yeah.
to yourself, and thank you for that.
Yeah. Mm.
I decided to take the one day off a week,
Oh, yep.
take a bit of a salary hit, but it was
Mm.
100% worth it. I
Great.
would not ever change my mind. It's like I
Great. Well
said,
done.
yeah.
Well
So
done. You put yourself first, your transformation first, what you needed, what you knew inside was possible, and you fully committed to that. And that's why you got the results. So excellent.
thank you so much. Yes.
Mm.
So yeah, I would have to also um, give you some major shout out. I just got back from visiting my family in the States. I live in
Mm.
Australia. My
Yeah.
husband's Australian.
Yeah.
And it's always lovely to be with family during holidays. But
Yeah.
we all know family can be also a bit of a challenge sometimes,
Yeah.
especially,
Usually the most challenging area,
yes,
isn't that right? For people, family and relationship, usually the most challenging of
yes.
the areas. Yeah. So,
Definitely. And
yeah.
yeah, I was sharing with you quickly before, there were a few moments I, felt like I needed to get some emotion out with just crying, and
Yeah.
I'm not a crier,
Yeah.
but I held it together, and even though I know it's okay to cry and there's appropriate
Yeah.
times to do that,
Yes.
um, I wanted to be strong for my son, and
Mm.
I just know old me would have broken
Mm.
down a few times, whereas
Right. Mm.
um, with all the new awareness work that
Yeah.
I've learned this year, I was
Yes.
able to, take a deep breath
Yeah.
and um, just, slow things down and
Yeah.
trust in my intuition,
Yes.
um, and also, be the more mature person at times as
Yeah.
well,
Yes.
which was quite
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. Great. And I think, having done that deeper work on those family relationships, on your own core wounding that we all have, I believe, gives you that much more space so that you don't feel triggered as easily. And that's, one of the main aims of the program is to do that deeper work therapeutically, so that you're not triggered as easily, basically. So
Yes. Yeah,
it's
I
great, Alyssa.
thank you. Yeah, I was reading over some of the course notes, and I
Hmm.
love how we can print them out each week. As I'm a visual person, and
Yeah.
when I read it and then hear it,
Yes.
it will stay in my long-term memory better.
Great. Great.
And is it okay if I share a few of those?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, please
thank you.
do.
So some of these I just love so much, like practicing
Hmm.
holding space for yourself and others,
Hmm.
which I'm working on my EFT accreditation. And so this course is definitely helping with that already,
Yeah. Yeah.
as well
Great.
as being a high school teacher.
Yes.
I want to quickly share, I've been teaching for 18 years, and I think only last term was the first term in my career
Mm.
where I didn't have there was no major stress or
Mm.
issues. It just
Great.
seemed like everything clicked from the
Yeah.
course, and I was able to
Great.
apply it, and it really changed, how I handled all the stress from work,
Fantastic. Well, I'd
students.
say that's your ability to hold the space for others, right? Which is a big part of the program learning.
Yes, thank
So, because in the school environment, it's all about that, isn't it, with your class and in the staff room. So that's great to hear. I've worked with quite a few teachers and have had a lot of good feedback about work improving a lot, and office people in office situations too.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that, because not only is it, there can be behavioral issues with students, there's also then the politics in the staff room. And
Absolutely.
I guess they say wherever there's people, there's politics. You can't
Yes,
avoid
especially in staff rooms, I think, from what I've heard.
it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really eye-opening
Mm.
because my goal has been to change careers over the last few years. But now I'm like, you know what? I think I could keep doing this a little bit
Yeah,
longer.
that's great.
So yeah,
Great. Great to
thank
hear,
you.
Alyssa.
Yeah, so some of these other bullet points I'd love to share with our listeners, that by doing the course, that you can cultivate a process focused approach through self-reflection, welcoming barriers and baggage, trusting the process. I love that one. Yeah. Being willing to expose personal difficulties, be vulnerable and embrace our feelings.
So
Uh,
this is all about how to get the most out of the course, isn't it? Are
yes.
they the points related to that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
find, yeah, by focusing on
Mm.
these bullet points
Mm.
here, that after doing the course, I'm just
Yeah.
now like, yes, I can
Yeah. Yeah.
say
You can do all of those because although they relate to how to get the most out of the course, they also relate to how to get the most out of life. Well, they could
yes,
do because the course or therapeutic work, and this is a therapeutic container that goes for 6 months online, 2 hour Zoom group a week, plus individual work, plus partner work, just sharing the format of how,
yes,
how we do it. So, yeah, the course environment, the group environment is always the same as life. So, what comes up for an individual in the group therapy environment is what comes up in life. So they're very connected.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that because
Mm.
yeah, I feel like it all relates and it helps anyone who's not quite sure
Mm.
about why they should do it or think about it or look into it. These are just
Yep.
some things that have really resonated with me.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Are you happy for me to share a couple more and then
Sure, go for it, Lisa. Go
yeah.
for it. Yeah.
So, I love the one being open to new ideas, taking 100% responsibility for your own gains and outcomes versus blaming or projecting onto others.
Hmm.
Seeking to understand your triggers. That was a big
Mm.
one for me.
Yeah.
Practicing self-compassion and self-care.
Mm.
Well, yeah, I love those. And
Mm.
I also loved the book list that you
Hmm.
recommended us
Mm.
to
Mm.
read. And
Yeah.
one of a few, I don't know if it's going to come out backwards, but I'll share it in
Mm.
the
Yeah.
description.
Yep.
This one's No Mud, No Lotus, but could you help me pronounce the author's name?
Thich Nhat Hanh.
Thank you, Thich Nhat Hanh. He's Vietnamese
Yeah,
monk.
Vietnamese monk. He's passed now, but a very wise man who practiced meditation and his philosophy for many, many years. Lovely
Yeah, I just
fellow.
loved this book.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I've noticed he's written lots of books.
Lots of books. They're all good. And this is a particularly good one when you're beginning therapeutic work because what it talks about is why humans suffer. So the book's called No Mud, No Lotus. So without the suffering, no blossoming. So sort of gives us that higher meaning for suffering, which can be very good when we're first approaching therapeutic work and starting to head towards the wounds that we have habitually suppressed or avoided.
Yes, thank you. I just noticed also on the front of the book is the art of transforming suffering.
Mm.
And something that you reminded me of, because I read this at the start of the 6 month course, which is,
Yeah,
I'd say, almost 8 months ago now. And
yeah,
something that's coming back is what the book mentioned is that there's no escaping suffering. Unfortunately,
yes,
we're all going to
yeah,
experience some form of
yeah,
suffering, but it's
yeah.
how
Mm.
we go about dealing with it ourselves. We can either
Hmm.
suffer tremendously
Yeah.
or learn how to approach it in another way. And I found that
Mm.
so enlightening.
That's right. So part of the aim of our program, the 6 month therapy course, is to teach people how to adopt a growth mindset so that we're no longer resenting and avoiding and resisting our challenges or problems, but we're heading towards them, learning how to open them up, work with them, release them, and ultimately grow from them. And just that is such a attitude change to be able to adopt that shift in attitude. It takes time. It's not just a, you know, sudden shift, but that's something that over the 6 months we're really working with from many different angles. And it does make life a lot more enjoyable once you've come through that and understand that we all are challenged greatly and it's okay to be challenged greatly and it's okay to um, move gently towards our challenges, essentially.
Good, thank you. Yes. And I resonate with that with doing the course with our partner work, which is so, uh, how do I say, powerful. Um, so you and your team will randomly, or however way you do it, is team us up with another person in the
Yeah, not
course.
randomly, not
Okay.
randomly. Not at all. It takes a long time actually to pair people up, but
Fair enough. Yeah.
yeah.
And it is, it's powerful when we do that partner
Yeah,
work
yeah,
once a week or
yes.
yeah, just being heard and seen
Mhm.
and by that other person and um, just how deep you can go or you don't have to go. It's totally up
Mhm.
to you. And
Mhm.
um, uh, I just found it so it was beautiful. Like if that
Mhm.
wasn't there.
Mm.
I think the course would be missing something. So
Yeah,
it really
absolutely.
completes it. Yeah.
Key component. And I'll just share a little bit more about how that works. So, a part of the program is being matched up with another person from the program, and we teach you how to do supervised therapeutic process, which you undertake in your own time together, a time of your choosing. And you're essentially learning how to hold the space for another, um, and to have that space held for you. So it's a very beautiful experience that involves a lot of deep learning and interrelational learning, and that these are structured processes, so you don't go off, track. So it's a very structured therapeutic process, but it's a very deep experience and ripples out into your life. So as you learn to really be there at a deep level for one other person, that translates to the rest of your life. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Alyssa.
Yeah. Because I love how this course, it really doesn't take too much time commitment. It's what, a
Mm.
2 hour Zoom a
2
week?
hour Zoom, 15-minute individual therapy session on the phone every second week, and 1 to 3 hours of partner work per week, starting with 1 hour for a third of the course, and ending up with 3 hours as we deepen in the process towards the very end of the program.
Yeah. And the group work is, I find so powerful. And it doesn't matter who comes in. They're
Yeah.
all beautiful people. Like I connected
Mm.
with everyone in the six
Yeah.
month and the 4 month
Yeah.
course. And it doesn't matter if,
Yeah.
like one of my partners lives in Norway. It didn't
Yes.
matter. Like
Yeah.
the time
Yeah.
difference didn't matter.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
my other partner was in Peru half the time and then
Yeah.
back in Montana. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just love how you have participants from all over the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Fantastic.
exciting, isn't it? Because we're
Yeah.
really working on our individual issues, but knowing that these are collective problems. So I think there's a real sense of that held in the program, that yes, we're working on our individual problems, but ultimately these are human problems. And as each individual transforms through them, perhaps they're lending something to the collective. And I think there's a real sense of that which unites us. So we move from that very problem saturated place that people often begin at with therapy. We quickly move away from that to this, collaborative field, which is where the enjoyment comes in as well, and even the fun and the light-heartedness, even though we're dealing with difficult issues. So I think it's the only way I like to work these days is in the group environment, because of the power and the camaraderie of the group.
Yes, beautiful. And I gotta admit, I looked forward to the sessions, even though at the beginning it's quite
Mm.
nerve-wracking, which I think is
Sure. That's
natural.
normal. Yep.
Yeah, like especially to be vulnerable around
Yes.
others. But which also helps in the aid of transformation is when
Yeah.
you do open up and share, it almost helps clear
Yes.
some of the stuff at the same
That's
time.
right. That's why it's very different what we're doing to like webinars. They're not webinars, it is group therapy. And there's a confront or a challenge to show up each week with your heart on your sleeve and your nerves rattling around and your issues rattling around. And that's part of the transformation, to keep showing up on that growth edge week after week. So that's very different to a pre-recorded situation. Our programs are all live. There's no pre-recorded element, which I'm quite proud of, because it's a lot more work intensive, but that's actually where the magic and transformation is at, I think.
I agree. It's
Yeah.
you definitely can feel the energy no matter where you are in the world. Like
Yeah.
we all
Yeah.
connect in that
Yes.
time, in that moment.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing to witness and be a part of.
Yeah.
And Lisa, you do it so well. So thank you
Oh,
for
thank you so
supporting us and
much.
your team.
Thank you, Alyssa. I appreciate that. It has taken a long time to work up to this level, for, personally, I've been doing this for a long, long time, 25 years at least. And I think I always had a vision to be able to do something like this and have, something that doesn't take too long, because I think, 6 months isn't that long yet. The transformation that every participant goes through in that time would be worth many years of individual therapy. So it happens fairly fast, yet it's gentle and safe and stable and at quite a depth. So yeah, it's taken me a very long time to learn how to do that and picking all the pieces from all over the world. I spent 10 years just on a mission to apprentice, all through my 20s, to apprentice to the best healers I could find in every culture that I was drawn to moving through. And I really put that quest first because as a child, I found it a very difficult experience because I'm very empathic, which many people are, and I feel what goes unsaid in someone's space. I feel it very keenly. So my work as a psychotherapist and growth work teacher gives me a, opportunity to do something with that empathic sense. So that's why I went on my 10-year odyssey in my 20s, was because I was always haunted by the question of why humans have so much difficulty and so much suffering, essentially. What's going on? From my child mind, I couldn't understand it. I didn't have people to talk to about that, but it was always burning in my in my being, this question. So I set out on that global mission and had lots of challenges throughout it, but I found lots of gold. So I worked with lots of different teachers and lots of different environments, including Buddhism. I spent, a good couple of years managing a healing center in Dublin, Ireland, where I got to meet a whole cross section of healers coming through from the global circuit and got to experience everything they had to offer as the sort of manager of the healing center. So I did that for a couple of years, and in that time I became a student of Sogyal Rinpoche, the renowned Buddhist teacher, and spent, a lot of time at his retreat, Dzogchen Berra, on the west coast of Ireland. I've got a summer storm here. Can you hear the rain, or is that okay? Okay, good. It's a huge storm coming in the window, which is quite pleasant, actually.
Yeah, it's good to get rain.
And taught Buddhist meditation at this healing center. Then I apprenticed to a student of a very well-known family therapist in the US called Shirley Luthman. And she had a small group of students, including a well-known lady called Shakti Gawain, who's written lots of books. So it was a peer of Shakti Gawain's that I then studied with, and we were based in Sedona, Arizona. So I spent about 4 years there using Sedona as our base, but traveling globally, doing big seminars, 100 people, up to 100 people at a time over 6 days, and really cutting edge stuff, blending psychotherapy and somatics and healing cultural mindsets. So I really apprenticed to some of the best and was on a steep learning curve, also healing my own trauma, wounding. I think we all have this as humans. So really dedicated myself to, finding the very best that I could find, just sort of cherry picking all these different ideas and theories. And then I went into private practice, and also attained a master's in counseling and psychotherapy. So deeply studied Western psychotherapy through that, and over many, thousands upon thousands of one-on-one sessions with people and group work, have assembled this powerful pathway, this awareness work, what I call awareness work, this currently 10-month pathway. So the 6-month course, then an optional 4-month course, next level, that very accurately helps people to transform what is not working for them.
Wow.
I mean, it would take 6 months to explain exactly what that is, which is what you've just been through. But just to give you a bit of background, yeah,
I love that.
been a big journey, and it's taken me a long time, and now I'm very satisfied with what we're achieving in there. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa, for sharing that with us
Mm.
because I was going to ask you
Yeah,
where your journey took you in the
yeah,
world, and it's nice to have a bit of a snapshot. And because I'm passionate about traveling
yeah,
um, and did the Mana Movements retreat in Peru, working
yeah,
with Chrissy's favorite masters and shamans, and
yeah, yeah. I was there
oh,
this year,
right,
last November too. Yeah,
beautiful,
yeah, yeah.
amazing
Amazing
experience that was.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you spent 10 years traveling the world and
Mm.
learning and
Yep. Hmm. Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So really off the beaten path a lot of the time as well, traveling by myself for, months and months at a time. I spent 3 months at the Mahakumbh Mela in northern India, talking with the sages and the sadhus and the holy people from India. So yeah, I was on a real mission for a long time. I had a real burning mission to find these answers that I was looking for, because I just didn't understand what was going so wrong with our planet, and particularly with our relationships with each other, and the internal suffering that I knew we were all feeling yet rarely sharing. So yeah, I've been hot on this my whole life.
Yeah, I love that. You just reminded me, like when I have friends and family ask about the awareness work course, pretty much I just summarize quickly like what your website says that the 6 month course is almost equivalent to 2 to 3 years worth of one-on-one work.
Yeah,
And
I'd
I
say even longer, a bit longer, I'd say, but yeah,
Probably.
yep.
Yeah. And when
Mm,
it's like a no-brainer to me, like if you
yeah,
have the time and the resources
yes,
to do it,
yes, yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, like I said, it's changed my life. My family have seen that the differences.
Right.
And with my podcast, I'll be sharing more about my personal development journey and about depression and anxiety and
Yeah.
postnatal and
Mm,
yeah, and I just feel that the calling now to share to help others,
mm,
I've been on my journey for over 10 years of self-development. And when I started doing some of my own research of how people did it, it
yeah.
almost seemed unreachable,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. There's a lot of noise in the space, and it is very hard to find the methods that actually work. I would say, I say to people sometimes that 95% of what I experienced and what I learned doesn't work. It's only the 5% that I've come across that's the real gold. So yeah, and it's not great that. And I hear from clients all the time these difficult therapeutic journeys they've had without the results they were looking for. So it makes it tough. Yeah, you really got to commit to finding what you're looking for, and you don't stop till you've found that, and you don't stop until you've healed what you want to heal, because I really do believe we can heal everything that we're carrying from a wounded perspective. So, childhood trauma, family difficulties, personal upsets, all of this, I actually believe needs to be healed. And I work with a model put forward by Bill Plotkin that he describes in his book, Nature and the Human Soul. And yeah,
oh
I was
my
very,
God, yes, I'm glad
yeah,
you
there
mentioned
it
it.
is. Yeah.
It's so great. Hi, everybody. I'd love to share with you one of my most favorite books that Lisa recommended while doing her course. And it is called You Are the One You've Been Waiting For by Richard Schwartz. And this book literally was just like, I have to admit, like a gut punch, a punch in the gut. Um, but one that I was really grateful for because it explained what we do when we don't feel love in our relationships anymore and what we unconsciously
Mm,
do to try and get it back. And it's
mm,
not necessarily great things, but we aren't
mm,
aware that we're doing it. So it sort of
mm.
woke me up to that and
Yeah.
helped me to remove any blame or projection of
Mm,
things that weren't there.
mm.
It goes deeper than that, of course, but
Yeah.
I would love, Lisa, if you're happy to share some of your
Yeah.
thoughts on that book.
In that book. So I think the power of that book and that framework, which is an internal family systems framework, is that it really just interrupts that assumption that couples are two halves of one whole. That's a very problematic assumption, okay? Because we have to be whole to have a relationship with another person that's whole. That's the only way relationships actually work. But we're so brought up on the idea through, even Disney movies, there's a real cultural idea that says we're half a person looking for our other half. So it really breaks that down. And that's the beginning of healing in relationship because you start to own all your own unconscious projections and you start to work towards wholeness in your own right. And that's extremely healing dynamically. So you begin an upward spiral as you start doing that work. Everything starts to spiral upwards. Strength builds on strength. Love starts to return. You start to grow as a person. So I'm very grateful that Richard Schwartz has written that powerful reframing book because, yeah, it really kickstarts healing of relationship.
Yes, I've seen that firsthand. And what's also amazing is that, only one person in the relationship really needs to do the
Yeah,
work or
that's
even
it.
read that
That's right.
book.
That's
Um,
right. People are often shocked to hear that. And for our programs as well, only one person from the couple needs to come in and do the work.
Yes, which is great because old me, when I was
Yeah.
on a spiritual path and doing lots
Mm,
of retreats, and I started to get an inflated ego thinking, my husband needs to do these too, and why
mm.
isn't,
Yeah.
he coming on? And
Yeah.
that's not healthy.
Yeah. Quite a trap, that. Yeah.
Yes. And
Mm.
after reading this and after doing your course, my husband, he's just same old Mark, and
Yeah.
it was me that changed. And with
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
strengthen our relationship and the love just naturally came back. And
Yes.
um, it's just amazing that something that it's not a huge thing that I had to do,
Mm.
but
Mm.
yet, it
However, it was probably, sorry to interrupt you, but it was
yeah,
probably many steps you made, Alyssa, to get you to that new vision.
true.
So it is hard to describe, isn't it?
It
All those
is.
really many steps that you took over 6 months, then 4 months to get to that new position and that new level of understanding.
Yes,
Mm.
it is quite hard to put in words, I must
Yeah.
admit. I mean,
Yes, I know that feeling well.
it's funny because I remember the break between the 6 month and 4 month course.
Mm.
It was funny, like I felt like after the 6 month course, I'm like, has anything really changed? And then, but in the 4 month co course,
Yeah,
I'd say halfway through, I really saw it. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yes,
right.
it's
Exactly.
working.
Exactly. You're still probably in process at the end of the 6 month course, and then the 4 month course is, designed to really stabilize and strengthen. in many ways. So I'm glad that you came through to that point during that program. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And it was lovely to hear some previous participants. They all had something in common when trying to share what the 4 month course was about, and they all pretty much said it actually felt easier and natural, and I was like, okay, sign me up. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, if that gets me to the next level, which it
Yes.
did,
Yeah.
worth
Great.
it.
Great. That's
Thank you.
excellent. Yeah, I think in the 6 month course, because most people are newer to the work, although not necessarily because we do work with long-term practitioners of, self-development and people who've been at it for a long time as well. So it is an advanced course. So you can do it as a total newbie or as a seasoned practitioner and still get massive transformation. So the 6 month course can be experienced as a little more difficult because you're getting to know how to do the work.
Yes.
So there's a lot to that, how to do the work, right? Um, so once you're at the 4 month course, you know how to do the work. So there's a lot less resistance, that you've healed a lot more. There's a lot less density. There's a lot less wounding. You're in a much lighter space. You've sort of got the lay of the land. You know how to walk up the mountain of self-growth, as we call it. So, yeah.
Yes, I'm glad you brought the resistance because there is a lot of resistance at the start to step into that vulnerability,
Yes.
to be able to open up about, I mean, a lot of it I felt like for me was linked to my childhood,
Yeah.
and my parents,
Mm.
and no fault to anyone, right? We
Yeah.
we all
Yeah.
have
No,
it.
that would be typical. We
Okay.
all have childhood wounding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Let's say
Yeah.
across the board.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
again, old me would have, got on the blame game pretty easily, but now
Mhm.
I have a better sense about it all, and it's no
Yeah.
fault. And you can see how
Yeah.
the generational passed on
Yes.
trauma can occur
Yes.
through no
Yes.
fault of anyone's.
No, that's right. It's a collective issue, this trauma. It does get passed on, and
Mm,
it's not any individual's fault. That's right.
mm,
Although, of course, we each have to take responsibility for anything we've done that isn't ideal as well.
mm.
I see it as a collective problem, the trauma that individuals experience. And we go deeply into that in the program.
Yes,
Mm.
beautiful. Yeah, so I would love to quickly let our listeners know that your 6 month course is starting again shortly, so February
Mhm.
4th, is that
Mhm.
correct? And
That's right. So it's called the 6 month therapy course. You can go to our website, www.awarenesswork.com, and read about it there. And you can also apply online. We currently have 2 places left. Um, but if you don't get in for this coming February, you can actually apply for next February. So we do take applications now. Applications are open even for the following year once this one fills. And one of myself or one of the team will jump on the phone with you when you apply, and we'll have a personal conversation with you on the phone and find out about you, what you're looking for, and tell you more about what we do in the program. So it's a very much making sure we're working with the people who are aligned with the program. And yeah, love to hear from you.
excellent. Well, I just want to thank you so much for your time today, Lisa, and sharing some insights. And I loved hearing about your personal journey as well. Is there any more you'd like to share with us today? Are you happy for a part 2 podcast in the future?
Yeah, that sounds great. I'd be happy for a part 2, and maybe we could go into some more of those questions people have about the healing journey, which I think is really interesting and I love to talk about.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And I hope that everyone enjoyed this podcast and look forward to you joining us next time. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Alyssa. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Lisa. Bye-bye. A heartfelt thank you to Bellevue Recording Studios for your outstanding support and expertise. You made this recording experience seamless and enjoyable. I truly appreciate the care and attention to detail you put into bringing my vision to life. Thank you for helping make this project a reality. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, the Winanora Nation. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who are part of this community. We honor their enduring connection to this land, their rich cultural heritage, and their ongoing contributions to our collective understanding and respect for the environment. May we walk together in respect and collaboration, learning from the wisdom of the Wununara people.